We always have long talks, me and some of my brother priests, at convocations or at different times when we can all get together. We have these long talks, especially surrounding everything coming up in November, because there's a lot of opinions. Some of my brothers think it's terrible to be a priest around November 4th. It's during an election year because it's impossible to become a priest. There's others of us that think it's so easy to be a priest around election time because all we have to do is call malarkey where malarkey is. All we have to do is live the Gospels. All we have to do is say what Christ wants from us and how whoever is espousing whatever sort of nonsense is wrong, is a liar, no matter how many times they say it, no matter how many times they get on television and try to convince the American people. Based in humanity, all of their ideas are wrong. I mean, politics is a weird game, I'll grant. It's a game where the participants who are willing to play should never win. They should never be in office if they're willing to put themselves out there, because there has to be something wrong with them. There has to be something wrong with them. I mean, all politics, especially nowadays, seems to be nothing but straw man attacks, poisoning the well. It seems to be getting up there and calling names, arguing who has the lowest golf handicap. It ends up being just who sounds more like a cackling hyena and who looks like a cheesy puff. I mean, it's all of this nonsense stuff that doesn't help people. It does not help us to be sitting there and watching rich people on a stage debate each other about how we shouldn't trust rich people and about who's right about some stupid nonsense that was written 300 years ago. That was a subset of a law of an argument of Congress. That doesn't matter. What we have to remember this upcoming election season, what we ought to remember each and every day of our lives, is it does not matter if our worldview is based in this world. If it is, it's prideful. Pride is a dangerous sin. The second our view becomes couched in this world, it is a dangerous sin. Pride enters the picture. That is when we begin acting like the disciples in today's gospel, who did nothing but jockey for position. Left and right. I'm better. Who's greatest? You're worse. I'm great. People listen to me. That jockeying for human position comes after all of this formation of Jesus Christ, after all of this intense proximity to Jesus Christ. And you would think that they would always get the answer right, but time and time again, they don't. Because they're humans. Because they fall, because they struggle, because for little blips of time, they take their eyes off of Christ and put them on themselves. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, our job, what we need to do in every single day in our lives, especially as this election season comes up, is to keep our eyes fixed on Christ. To keep our eyes narrowed just at Him. To, yes, care about the world, work in the world. We need to be caring for as the scriptures say, as Christ says, the poor, the widow, and the orphan. We need to be caring for humanity at the beginning of conception and at natural death. We need to be witnessing to the sanctity of the sacraments, the sanctity of true and actual and holy marriage. We need to be witnessing to the truth and dignity that has been created and knit together in every human person from the very beginning of conception in their mother's wombs. We need to work in the world for all of that, but it needs to begin with our eyes fixed on Christ. How do we do that? We add holiness into the picture. We need to strive for holiness each and every moment of our lives, not just when someone is watching. Not just when our husbands or our wives are around, not just in front of our kids, not just in front of our priests, but all the time, striving for holiness. That means ourselves this year not engaging in mudslinging that will be going on, not engaging in putting up some sarcastic, chiding Facebook post or Twitter post, not just in a lack of judgment in engaging in gossip with somebody at the store or in the parking lot. But each and every single moment of our lives has to be spent in holiness, keeping our eyes fixed on Christ. That holiness is hard to chase after. It's hard to do. It's hard to keep our lives cleaved to Him. But luckily, it does not rest with us. Our lives have already been cleaved unto Christ. We have already been fused within Him. We've already been changed into His image and likeness in baptism. We've already been raised to the dignity of His beloved sons and daughters. Our job then becomes not only to be holy, but to add holy service into our lives. For each and every second that we're awake, each and every second we're around, looking for places that we can examine where holy service is needed. And we're not just talking about bringing in the trash cans for a neighbor who had just had hip surgery. I'm not talking about just baking cookies for grandma or picking up after mom or helping her clean. But I'm talking about actual holy service. Actual holy service has us fulfilling the corporal and spiritual works of mercy. Holy service has us working for the actual human dignity of people. That means finding our friends, finding our family members who may have been hurt, who may have been misunderstood, who may have deep wounds. That means finding those people in our society that are struggling with depression, that are struggling with their own self-worth, their own dignity as people, and working towards lifting that up. Holy service begins here in this church. It begins here at this altar. It's inviting our friends and families and neighbors who need to know who Jesus is, who need to know what true sacrifice is, inviting them here so that our mystical eyes may be opened, so that we may see who and where the body of Christ lays in this world and how to work for it. Holy service, engaging in holy service, always fixes our eyes on the cross. It will never fix our eyes on humanity. Holy service, like prayers, holy service, like deliverance, holy service, like introducing people to God, will always affix our eyes to Him. And that, my brothers and sisters, is how we avoid the pitfalls of the world. Is life going to be easy when we engage in holy service and once we have our eyes fixed on Christ? Absolutely not. It's not going to be easy. The world's not going to be magically fixed. My parents had a hard life. My grandparents had a hard life. My great-grandparents had a hard life. I'm sure everybody walks in with their own struggles and their own things in the day and age that they struggle with. But you know what? We work through it, and we don't work through it alone. We don't work through it in our humanity as the disciples do. But we do it as the disciples do after the ascension. We do it with Christ always at the center of our lives, living Christocentrically, living with our eyes fixed on Him. That is how we engage this year. That's how we engage this political season. That's how we engage this life. Because no matter how we vote, we're not voting for issues. We're not standing up because we want this tax bill passed or that tax bill to go down. All of us, the entire church, people of faith, people everywhere, we need to stand up first and foremost for life. Because that is where everything begins. That's where we have the ability to then witness to the dignity of the rest of their lives. That's where we have the ability to enter into social work, social services. That's where we have the ability to enter into debating tax brackets. Without life beginning, we have nothing. Without Christ instituting life within us, without God creating life within us, we have nothing. We keep our holy service, we keep our focus on Christ to keep our eyes trained on that and that alone. That to truly make action in this world, to truly change this world into an image and likeness of Christ, which we already share in, we must always be ready and willing to witness to life. As St. Peter tells us, gives us two pieces of great advice. He says to always be ready with an answer for our faith. We need to be ready with those answers. We need to have those answers cocked and loaded and in our pockets about why it's important, about why it is necessary to witness and to work for the poor, the widow, and the orphan, and to witness to the dignity of human life. But we also need to be aware. He tells us that our opponent, the devil, is prowling like a roaring lion, waiting for someone to devour. Resist him, solid in your faith. We remain solid in our faith by keeping our eyes fixed on Christ. That is our mission this year, for this November. That is our mission absolutely every single day as Catholics. To be alert, to be ready, to keep our eyes fixed on Christ.